Welcome, everyone, to the School Board Forum on behalf of KCNI, KBBN, and Sand Hills Express, and KBBN 92.3, and the Custer County Chief. We welcome you to tonight's forum for the school board. Each of the candidates is going to be given 3.5 minutes to introduce themselves to you, and then each of the media representatives will be asking them questions. They will have 2 minutes to respond with a 40-second conclusion. Now, prior, they all drew numbers, so they're seating in the 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll be starting on the end, and then the next question will be started with number 2, and we'll go down the road. So each candidate will have a question number 1 first, and each candidate will be able to respond, or have their answer to the question last. We ask everyone in the audience to please mute your phones. Each of the candidates have their cell phones put away. They've been asked not to text or look anything up online. The other thing we'll be doing is they have requested that in the timing I just lightly say 30, and then they know they have 30 seconds left in case they are thinking about running out of time, okay? And with that, are we ready? We are going to start with Shelley, if you will introduce yourselves and tell everybody why you're running and a little bit about your family, please.
All right, thank you very much. I'm Shelley Kelly. I live over by Westerville, so on the eastern edge of the district. I've been living in the district for about 6 years. My son is in first grade and enrolled here in Broken Bow. My son and I ranch out there. We run cattle, and I'm the executive director of the Sand Hills Task Force, which is a nonprofit organization that's designed to promote ranching and conservation. In that executive director role, it's my job to manage the budget, to raise the funds through grant writing and also cooperative agreements, and to work on partnerships. I organize and run meetings for my job, and I have for 10 years. Prior to moving here, I was on the school board in Sutherland. I was elected to and served as a school board member there. That prior experience helps me bring information and some history for how another school was ran, and I could be able to compare what happens here to what I had experienced there. I'm so thankful to be running in a district where the school board is ran well. The school is operating very well. It's neat to see that there are people interested in running, and the candidates are wonderful, and there's not a lot of contention, which is really nice. I also get the pleasure of serving on other boards, and they're from local focus to state focus and a nationally focused board. That experience, I also believe, will help me be able to weigh decisions and be able to work with others on the school board. I have no concerns about the school. I'm excited there's an FFA program. When I was at Sutherland, I was able to start a Beef in the School program and also start an FFA alumni, which helped to support the FFA program. Organizing those types of support groups helped that organization flourish, and it's still in place today. I like to see our FFA program here grow, and I'm excited about the new building and the new opportunities we'll be able to provide our students. So I'll wrap up a little early.
Well, thank you. Yes. Okay. We will now start with J.D.
Hi, I'm J.D. White. I grew up in Broken Bow. I graduated from Broken Bow High School in 1998. Been active in the community and back in the community for the last 17 years after running off to college and not coming back for 9 years. Currently I was formerly a manufacturing manager at BD for the last 17 years prior to transitioning to Jenny Melham here in the last year, where I'm the plant services manager, heavily involved in budgeting, planning, facilities updates, and ensuring that helping build the sustainable program up there at the hospital so we can continue to grow and also attract members of the community. My family, I have 2 boys in the school system. I have an 8th grader and a 6th grader who are both very heavily active in sports and the school system itself, and very proud of that. My wife's a physician assistant also in town, and very supportive of the community, and that's a big part of why I'm running. I want to get involved. I'm very servant-oriented, and I feel that, investing my time and volunteering to be part of the school board just goes along with my personality for a solution and becoming part of something bigger to ensure that we're growing our community, which I think is important to our education system. I'm also a member of the fire department. On the fire department, I serve as the treasurer as well as a captain. I've been active with that department for the last 5 years, where I've got an opportunity to serve our community in that way as well.
Well, thank you. Okay, so now we will start with Colby, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Colby Fisher. I actually grew up in Culbertson, Nebraska. It's about 11 miles west of McCook, and I graduated from McCook High School. After that, I went to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, where I obtained a degree in criminology with a minor in psychology. And ever since then, I've spent the last 14 years focused on compliance and safety. Initially, within Cabela's, I started in the gun cage, was a supervisor for firearms, and then moving into import compliance, and then on to building out their product safety program. 2016, we moved to Seattle, where we spent about 5 years, where I led the global quality and safety team for Starbucks, and then eventually moved over to Amazon. I met my husband in 2009 when I was at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. He is a Broken Bow native, and so I have been able to see this community grow and prosper for the last 15 years, but we did not officially move back until 2020. We had a unique opportunity when COVID hit that we could move anywhere because we were both working for Amazon, and we had offices and people around the globe and around the country, and it didn't take us long to figure out that Broken Bow is where we wanted to be. And the community and the school was heavily influential in that decision. We wanted to give our kids the same opportunities growing up that we had, and we knew that they couldn't get that in Seattle. So we moved back, and since then, I've continued to work for Amazon. I lead the Hardlines policy team, so it's a team of experts where we analyze the safety of products that are sold on our website. And through all of my ventures, it's been heavily focused on child safety. And so that's really been the forefront of my career and part of the reason why I am running. So I'm very interested in the school board, primarily because, one, I want the opportunity to serve this community. Moving here, I think it's a great opportunity to jump in and get involved with the school board. I have in the school in general, and to see the success of our students and the community thrive. I have 3 kids that attend Broken Bow Public Schools, ranging from preschool up through 6th grade, so I'm heavily invested in their educations and the success of children generally. And I think that my background with my career in terms of child safety and reading and writing policies all day, every day, is very beneficial for the school board. I think it translates well, and it's an opportunity to support our community and lead in that manner. I do have teams globally, okay, that I lead, and so with that, I spend a lot of time working on their strategy, with their budgets, identifying the vision for our teams moving forward, and I think all of that correlates as well. So I'm excited for the potential to serve.
Thank you. Okay, and now Amy, please.
My name is Amy Tharp. For those of you that don't know me, I grew up here, born and raised, not unlike JD. I moved away for a little while, brought my family back here to raise them in the school system. I've got a 5th grader that's in the back, biggest cheerleader, and his older brother works at Pizza Hut. He's a junior, so heavily invested in the school system as well, and got an interesting perspective where one in elementary school and one in high school. I think that's an important way to look at things. I have a unique background. I've been self-employed more than I've been employed by other companies, but I've done time, so to speak, with corporate America. I want to make sure that it's a good and safe environment for our kids to go to school in, as well as the teachers. and that they have support from the school board for what they need to do and what they need to make their work environment a healthy one, and one where they feel like they can grow and become better leaders in the school themselves. I think that's really important as well. I don't know what else to say about myself other than I'm currently working for the Department of Health and Human Services, so that gives me a unique perspective on sometimes I see things I don't want to see. It's kind of a hard situation evaluating people if they need help from services, agencies, whatnot. That's what I evaluate and ask very personal questions. I tell them a lot of times, I'm going to get to know you really, really well, so please don't be embarrassed to tell me your story. And I think that's important to listen to the staff and the teachers, whether it's the cooks in the kitchen, the janitor, or the teachers that are stressed out because they've got too many kids or something's not going right for them. Let's help them and find a way to make them successful and not feel so stressed or overwhelmed, because we're in an overwhelming world. Too much technology. Right now they're in a construction zone. When I went to open house for the school, I wondered what all these turn right signs were, and they said, oh, well, that's how we're going to manage traffic. And I'm like, oh my God. So that it's a unique time, and I feel prepared. I've never had an opportunity to serve in this way, and I would like to do that for my community. It's given me a lot of opportunity coming from here, and I think that would make me a great candidate.
Thank you. Before we start, I want to make sure audio, are you picking them up all right? Okay, very good.
Sorry, Donna.
Yes.
Maybe just, I know it feels okay and loud enough for the room, but just move the mic a little bit closer to you because it'll be a smidge quiet for
Okay, very good. All right. And press, which one is going to start with the first question?
I can start.
Okay, so Jeremy is going to start, and we will start with Shelley. From Shelley, we'll move down the road to JD, Colby, then Amy. On the second question, then JD, you'll be up first. Okay, so Jeremy will ask the question, and then I will start the time. 2 minutes.
Okay, first question is a simple overarching one. Just describe an effective school board member in your eyes.
To me, an effective school board member is, what was I supposed to do?
Okay, I just canceled. Shelley's supposed to go first, and then JD. But I just hit cancel. So, Jeremy, you're going to repeat the question one more time since we just kind of... This is live, everybody. Okay.
Okay, describe an effective school board member.
Great question. I think an effective school board member is one that's present, that will attend the meetings and the events and get to know the personnel as well as the other school board members. I think it's important to know the administration and to take all inquiries and topics seriously. I think doing homework and doing research is really important too. Something we weren't able to do today, but that's okay. Being able to think on your feet is really important, but also taking the time to step back and look at how other people have handled it or how the situation has played out in other areas, I think is good to gain perspective so that we don't just do things how it's always been done here. Listening to each other, to one another and their ideas, I think is another good thing to have. So listening, be able to make decisions, to be able to not be afraid to stand out from the crowd if need be, and speak unpopular opinions is sometimes also important, but then also coming together at the end to be able to recognize, to move together as a unit and not be divided, to try to find common ground to work and to negotiate. So to recap, I think you need to be able to communicate well. I think you need to be able to listen. I think you need to be able to cooperate. And I think you need to be able to do some research.
Thank you. JD, you can start.
Communication is huge, is getting to know your staff your faculty, your administration through the school system, your students. You need to be able to listen to all levels, and that might be from preschool all the way up through high school students, to understand their environment, what they're facing, the adversity, and those challenges, but then being able to collaborate together as an effective school board, communicate with your team members. A big thing for me is not having a meeting after a meeting, and that person has to have that integrity to not walk away from a challenging meeting and have a meeting after the meeting, whether it be with members of the community or faculty. You need to be able to leave things on the table and walk away, and let bygones be bygones at the end of challenging meetings. Really like what Shelley said about being able to share that tough opinion and sometimes speak up about things that aren't always a popular discussion. You know, challenging each other to get better, challenging each other to look forward into the beyond. Education is a huge part of that, is educating yourself on the policies and the systems so that you can face the adversity. Adversity is going to happen. You can think quicker on your feet if you're kind of prepared in the background, and you're not always going to be 100% prepared for that challenge that might face the school system. Students walk in the hallway and following one-way signs. That's some serious adversity. I think it's important that our kids get through that. Just like COVID. COVID was adversity, and the school board's got to be prepared and ready to face those challenges effectively and support each other as a team.
Thank you. Okay, Colby, please.
Yeah, I would completely agree. I mean, I think communication is key, but I think a huge part of that also is actively listening and understanding what the concerns are. So seeking out diverse opinions and working together to find a common ground and to truly understand the people within the school, whether it's the teachers, whether it's the faculty, whether it's the students, really seeking to understand the root cause of the issues and then think strategically on how we can move forward and what can help remediate those issues. I think that it's important to identify opportunities for improvement within the school board. I think our school is wonderful as it is. There isn't some gap or agenda that needs to be addressed, but I think there's always opportunities in every aspect of life. And with that, we need to be able to work together to move forward and continue to grow and progress as a school and a community.
Thank you. Okay, Amy?
I would agree with everyone here that communication is key, and also keeping an open mind on what could be done or needs to be done. I'd like to take a moment to thank the current board members for their excellent job that they've done over the last few years, as well as the 3 that are leaving, or sorry, 2, 3, anyway, sorry. Because it's a hard job, and they've really handled some difficult decisions and unpopular decisions like the others have stated. I also feel like there's room to grow yet. And sometimes it's not always looking back at how they used to do it, or, well, that's the way we've always done it. I'm not saying that necessarily, but I definitely feel like there's a place to grow, and especially in the fine arts. That's near and dear to my heart, and it broke my heart when Addie Lawhorn was the only homecoming candidate because there weren't any senior boys in choir. I'm just going to get on my soapbox a little bit about that, because when I was in school here, we had 100 kids in choir. We had 3 sections. There was 100 kids in band. And it wasn't just band kids, and it wasn't just choir kids. Athletes were in band and choir too. Most of them were in both, as well as their sports and athletics and stuff, and top scholars. So I think there's something to be said about maybe looking at the past and taking a look at and seeing how we can maybe learn from those experiences and bring the good back that maybe we're missing.
Thank you. Okay, the next question will come from Mona. JD, you will be the first to start this next question.
Are we sure?
Yes, I'm very sure. And Shelley will be the last, okay? So the question, Mona, please.
Okay. Superintendent Darren Tobey has said that 84% of the district's current budget is staffing, salaries, benefits, etc. As a board member, how would you balance the need to compensate good teachers and staff against the sometimes difficult task of filling positions with quality personnel and yet trying to keep the taxpayers happy?
That's a really good question. Financial responsibility in that is going to be a challenge, and I feel for the school systems across our nation is we graduate from school and we want those $100,000 jobs. We've spent 4 years in college and we want those big high-paying jobs, and unfortunately in the school system the salary is not there, and the administration, Darren, having to face that constantly and work through the balance, and working through negotiations every year and making sure that we're balancing those things out. For me, it's getting involved and understanding how do we think outside the box. Recently, there was a forum down at UNK. I spoke with Joyce Richardson. She asked, just off the cuff, an idea. How do we tap on to the 2-year degree initiative? Teachers get paid on progression as they work towards their master's degree and finish higher education. Is that something that we need to tap into beyond just internally in our school system? And that's a bigger picture item, and that's a huge challenge for what they're facing today of how do we get involved and how do we think outside the box so that we can further develop our teachers into becoming to that master level, while maybe you can come into a little bit lower wage as they get through their education at a 2-year degree level. And I know that's a hard thing and it's a hard philosophy because it's new, but thinking outside the box for me is looking into those things.
Thank you. Colby, please.
I agree with everything that JD said. I think it's a huge challenge in that, the livelihood of teachers and things aren't compared to a lot of the other industries, and so that can be challenging to retain good talent. But I know that Darren has done a lot of work on that budget to keep it where it needs to be in terms of all aspects of the school system, and it's just a matter of finding that healthy tension where we can support teachers and find an opportunity to motivate them to come to our school and stay in our school. And are there other alternatives or other incentives that we can propose to them to keep them here and keep them engaged besides just the salary? This is a great community. There's a lot to offer. Maybe there's other things that the community can get involved with to help bring in and retain that talent. Because otherwise, in terms of just budget holistically, there's going to be that healthy tension in terms of figuring out where those funds need to go. But supporting our teachers is critical, and it needs to take priority over many things, and we need to think outside the box, as JD said, on ways to bring in and retain that talent.
Okay, thank you. Amy?
I've heard this at several school board meetings that I've attended, and it just, it frankly blows my mind that you're operating on that tight of a budget, and I get it, and I commend the current board and Mr. Toby for doing a bang-up job. It's got to be a challenge. I think there's creative ways we could look at. I've got a 25-year background in insurance. My dad would say 40 years, but I'm not that old. Well, you've been in it. No, I haven't, Dad. But there's creative ways that you can attract new teachers, keep existing ones is the main thing, and have community involvement. We've got a great community here. We've got a fabulous hospital, JD. You're doing a great job on that. But we've also got, we had 2 grocery stores. That was awesome. It'd be great to have 2 again. Those types of things attract new teachers. Having a different after-curricular activities, bowling alley, that's great. But there are other things that people can do, and I think we need to promote that and help encourage that type of growth to continue. Because like I said, it's amazing what the current board and Mr. Toby are able to do. It does keep teachers here. However, we do have a challenge with, we didn't have a special ed teacher for 2 years. And that was a statewide problem. It wasn't just a Broken Bow problem, so.
Thank you. Shelley?
All right. Well, I think Broken Bow is positioned very well to keep and retain the good, talented employees that we have right now and to recruit new ones because of our community, because of what has been mentioned already as attractive features. We have a great school. We have good administration. We have a well-run school board. And I think that that's going to help us. Spending 84% of the budget on staff, I think, is a really big number, but it's the people that are teaching our kids. We got to have the people in place. And so having great staff is important and should be reflected in the budget. On the district report on the website, it states that the pupil to staff, certified staff rate is 11-to-1 and 12-to-1. And I think that that's really good because we need that one-on-one attention for our kids to be able to learn and for them to be able to grow. So they've done a good job on the budget. I think it's great that they don't have overruns, and the history that we see, that I've seen by attending school board meetings, is really good. When we start talking about recruiting, we need to do, and we probably already do a good job of talking about not just the salary, but the benefits. And the benefits could be monetary or they could be non-monetary. The benefit of living here, I think, is fantastic. I'm pretty partial myself because we chose to live here largely because of the school and because of those things that we've talked about. And so I think that being able to communicate that to potential teachers and folks that want to get involved, and if we can welcome them into the community, we'll do a good job.
Thank you. The next question will come from Andrew, and Colby, you will be first up.
Well, since this was just brought up, this was submitted by the public. Broken Bow has seen a decrease in band and choir participation in recent years. So how would you look to help support the music programs and other fine arts in the school district?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would encourage students to get involved by bringing forth opportunities for them outside of just sign up for this extracurricular. Like, how can we make it more relevant? How can we make it more interesting? How can we bring these arts programs to the forefront and get kids interested again? Similarly to what Amy said, when I was in school, 70 out of 80 kids were in band. And so I think it's a huge opportunity to bring the arts back into our programs and identify ways of doing that. But I think we initially start with just trying to increase awareness and bring it to the forefront and really share those opportunities with our students to try and get them involved.
Thank you. And Amy, please.
I'd say look to the past slightly. There might be other ideas, but when I was in high school, we had 3 sections of choir. The bonus was we got a 45-minute lunch. So we didn't always necessarily have choir every day, but I believe we did, now that I say that. Also, I would implement something similar like that, encourage kids to get involved in choir. I don't believe we can probably make it a requirement. If we didn't need to then, I don't believe so. But the band students, it's disappointing to me that my 5th grader doesn't have an opportunity to learn an instrument other than the recorder, which is fine, but I believe that has been done away with, and I don't know if it's due to lack of interest or staff, but it's not alarming, it's not the right adjective, but it's disappointing more than anything. It hurts my heart because I believe that learning an instrument helps kids be better students. And I believe that's proven as statistics. I couldn't tell you what it is, but I wasn't in band myself, but nearly everybody else was. And so we had a great band. They went to the Rose Bowl parade more than once. Unfortunately, I think 20 kids wouldn't make it. Bless their hearts. They work hard. I know they do. but I think we need to take a real strong look at that. It's hard when you have 3 band teachers in 6 years and get it back in the elementary schools.
Thank you. Shelley, please.
I think band and choir is incredibly important. I was blessed to be able to be involved in both and still played a little bit into college. And so part of the thing that we can do is to talk to our instructors in those fields and be able to see what kind of suggestions that they have. Do they need more staff, more time? You know, what would help to do that? Also, campaigns, educating the kids about the importance. I was just, like Amy talked about, I can't cite the research and I can't tell you the statistics, but I do know that it's been proven that being involved in music helps with you in being able to learn in your intellect. So if we share that information and help promote it, maybe it's pushing it a little bit more when the kids are younger. Another thing that we can do is the adults in the community can help to promote that and elevate fine arts and music and band to be able to be something that is really important. We had adults that would come play in the band with us when we were practicing and in class, and that was always a really fun day because for whatever reason, having an adult with an instrument was way cooler than just having our music instructor playing, even though she could play about 10 different instruments. So I think that there's some things that we can do as a community and the PTO to be able to try to promote it within our community.
Thank you. And finally, JD, please.
I'd agree with everybody. A huge part of that is getting back into that grade school, the elementary level, and getting those kids introduced to it at a young age. Outside of the school, it's hard because a lot of the exposure to music and that revolves around the home or in the church setting, and those are huge things that, you know, they don't always get that. And introducing them at the elementary age when they get into 4th, 5th grade and, you know, give them that opportunity. The world is diverse, and music is diversity. Fine arts is diversity, and it's important that we're engaging our kids at all level from grade school up, that diversity is out there and giving them the opportunities. I feel that the school system's taken a huge step with the addition and the remodel. That is going to be a huge step for the fine arts program. Looking back at the past, I was fortunate to have Mr. Bristol and Mr. Riker, who'd been in the field for many years prior to me getting into high school. I do regret not finishing out band, but I had the opportunity to go all 4 years in choir, and you know, it's a part of my life. I love music, and I'm very diverse in music, and those things that I get to pass on to my kids, and those are important things. Not only school system, but it also has to be a home. The parents and families have got to be involved and introduce our children to it as well.
Thank you. The next question will come from Jeremy. Am I correct? Yep. Okay, and we will start with Amy. Jeremy will read his question first.
Okay. If you were guaranteed absolute success going in, what are 2 specific educational priorities that you as a board member would like to see accomplished?
First of all, probably school safety. There's nothing more important than safety for our kids. You know, the parents of Uvalde didn't think it would happen to them. Unfortunately, it can happen anywhere. That would be priority number 1. Number 2 would be focusing on the fine arts, getting that back into the elementary. I agree with JD. It starts with the parents, but unfortunately what I see day to day is not all parents have that ability. And that's something that we need to make easier for those kids too, or also, I mean, be involved in the fine arts, whether it's band or choir or, all of us forgot about the art, which my oldest loves art. He goes and takes some of the classes. I finally got him talked into taking some of the classes at the gallery because he has enjoyed the teacher that they have now so much. But those would be my primary ones: student and school safety and the fine arts.
Thank you. And now, Shelley, please.
Thank you. If I could pick two things with a 100% success rate, which almost never happens, but as we're dreaming here, because the students do a good job academically, and we've got so many good systems in place on the academic front, I would also go more towards the FFA and extracurriculars. So I'll start with FFA in trying to increase participation in FFA. We live in an ag community, and the numbers for FFA in this community are similar to where I graduated from in Burwell, and Burwell's a much smaller community. So I'd love to see an increase in that. It's not just agriculture, it's leadership, and the leadership skills that I have that have carried me through my professional career and got me started, all started with FFA. And so trying to really promote that program either through increasing, mandatory classes that students have to take for introductory level type stuff, I think that would be where I would start. And then working on fine arts to get the elementary students a little more time spent with music, with art, and even with PE too.
Thank you. JD, please.
For me, a huge one's going to be the infrastructure, the sustainability of not only what we have, but what we're building. How do we ensure that we're not back in the same position in 10, 15, 20 years? Depreciation on the life cycle of most everything starts at 7 years, and you're lucky to get beyond 15. And without sustainability in that, we won't retain teachers. We won't be able to continue to provide a safe environment. And those things are important for me, and that's a huge driver in making sure that we provide the tools and the resources, which is our school and our teachers, for growth. And without those things, we won't be successful. So that's a huge one for me, is that infrastructure sustainability. And another one is just continue to grow the diverse programs, the fine arts, the technology. Technology is huge. We aren't going to get away from it. We've got to use it to our advantage. We've got to use it right, and we've got to make sure that we are developing our students. Majority of students these days are very hands-on learners from video games, that technology interaction, and we've got to use that to develop them and grow them, and that would be a huge focus for me.
Thank you. And now we go to Colby, please.
All right. I would say my two initiatives, if we could find absolute certainty of success, first and foremost for me would also be safety. I mean, that is baked into everything that I do and have focused on for years. And I was really excited with the changes that came about from the bond of the additional safety features within our buildings and what that provides to our kids. Second would be similar to what they've said also in terms of inclusion, and that means across the board, whether it's fine arts, it's tech. I was also really excited with the bond in terms of the advancements in the trades programs and what that will end up doing for our community if we can encourage our students not only to just pursue 2 4-year degrees, but also if we can get into these trades programs and really excel in that, that could bring businesses back to our community and continue to grow. So I think inclusion of all different activities, especially those trades programs throughout the high school, and then ensuring that our kids are safe.
Thank you. So next question, Mona, please. And then Shelley, you will be the first on this one.
Not every student is 100% physically or mentally fit. Not every student has strong family support, and they must rely on the school. As a board member, how do you look to make sure we support students' mental health?
Mental health is incredibly important, not just for our students, but for our staff and our community too. Our school, it's very important that we have good support in place, and from attending the past school board meetings, I think we have a good system in place for health, for education, for those that struggle mentally and physically. We are we are actually sought after and have folks come to us for good support in that area. So it's definitely something that's very important and weighs on my mind quite a bit, to be able to have the support, to be able to go to the counselor when needed, to be able to talk to the nurse, to be able to get students in therapy as needed, whether that's mental health therapy, whether that's physical therapy, whether that's special education work that needs to be done. I think our teachers are well trained at capturing it and figuring out when students need the support, and the communication between parents and teachers seems to be good. It's definitely something to stay on top of and to evaluate. But from what I can tell, everybody's doing a great job. There's always opportunity for growth, but I can't see anything from the experience that I've had so far that is glaringly needing to be changed right now. So I would just look at it to see and learn more and see if there's any opportunities that I could propose going forward.
Thank you. And JD, please.
I think Mona hit the nail on the head. Is unfortunately the home doesn't always offer our students that opportunity to get through some of that, and it puts a lot back on the school system, puts a lot back on our teachers, and that is a lot to ask. Just even us as parents, it's a lot to ask, even with our own kids some days, because the world is huge and there's so much that we throw at them every day. And I think the biggest one is, giving our counselors the tools, our school nurse, our teachers, and continue to develop that, the signs, and are they recognizing those signs? I would agree with Shelley. I feel that, the teachers and the coaches that I've worked with, the things that they recognize, and I've seen teachers and coaches take a kid off one-on-one and help them that, they may have not been able to get through something, whether it be a mental health issue or just even a physical issue. And I feel that our program is well. We spend, I think it's almost $1.7 million on it a year, if I remember right. And that's a lot. And that shows that we are invested, and I want to continue to support that. Getting closer to it and educating myself within our school system is important before I can help drive those initiatives. But I think the biggest thing is making sure our teachers have the tools to recognize and they get the support that they need so that we can provide the right things. And unfortunately, it's not a one-size-fits-all, and we've got to recognize that as well.
Thank you. Colby, please.
I would say that the first step in this is normalizing mental health and recognizing that mental health is health, and that we need to be cognizant of that, and that it's not something to hide or be wary of, that mental health is health. Like, we should be taking care of our people. And so I think one of the keys that we could do would be to engage our teachers and our staff members to really identify what the opportunities are there, whether it's taking additional courses or taking additional time to meet with students, to recognize potential opportunities, to recognize if there are challenges, or just kind of feel out those students on a day-to-day basis, and keep an eye out. And that could come from training, it could come from teachers. It's really engaging our staff to understand what the challenges are in our community and with our students, and help them be actively engaged in supporting them.
Thank you. Amy, please.
I agree with not every student is physically and mentally fit. They can look okay from the outside, and it's hard to know what their history is or what they've been through or what type of home life they have. I commend the coaches and the teachers and the staff for recognizing those that need help. There was an incident at the homecoming dance with a young person that is going through a really rough time with the grandparent that is not well and has been raising them. And those types of situations were handled very well, I felt. Commend Mr. Hellberg for recognizing the signs and knowing what needed to be done. Even if it would be something as simple as one of the teacher work days, having Miss Mathia, who's new to the staff this year, who I'm excited to meet and get to know. She's a great gal and a great addition, and it's wonderful to have someone at the elementary level full-time. Obviously budget probably doesn't allow to have someone at the high school full-time. And I believe there's someone that comes in monthly or weekly to handle the upper level classes, so that's good too. But the stigma has kind of gotten away on mental health, thank goodness, and I think that's great. And we need to continue that kind of an environment. And it could be something, maybe the teachers need a little mental health day too, or just a fun, crazy day, just to keep themselves on target. But like I said, maybe one of the teacher work days, have Miss Mathia talk about something that's really important, or something she's learned recently or brought to the school. It might help everyone. That would be my suggestion.
Thank you. Okay, so now, Andrew, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Andrew is going to ask the next question, and JD, yes, you have the mic, so you're going to be first. So Andrew, your question, please.
So sometimes in the course of teaching our students, teachers have to broach some topics that can sometimes be difficult or controversial. We've seen school boards across the country and in parts of our state face controversies over some of the materials that are used in the classroom, or that are maybe not required but are available in school libraries. So who do you think should be making determinations about what materials are used and how they should be taught, especially with potentially difficult or controversial subjects?
Those are definitely challenges that I think every school board has to face. Nebraska is a very conservative state. We are a very conservative community. I think it's huge that, as an elected official, you've got to recognize the community that you're in. You've got to kind of rely on your resources and make sure that you're making the right decisions. It's a huge challenge because not every decision is going to be up to the school board, because it's going to be driven down from the state. That'd be a challenge back to the community, is getting involved and going to that state school board level and making sure your voice is heard if you want something in the classrooms or you don't want something in the classroom, especially when it is controversial. At this level, it's important that we collaborate and we understand the voice of the community. That's why we do elect these positions. And I know that's challenging, but then beyond that, I would challenge the community to take those controversial things if we're getting it dictated to us from the state level. And that's where we've got to go get heard next.
Thank you. Colby, please.
Yeah, I agree with JD on that. The Department of Education drives our curriculum and what our children are exposed to. And given that we are a more conservative state, I think it's safe to rely that they have our best interests in mind. But if it does come across that we must approach some of these controversial topics, then we need to do it in the right manner. And we need to engage the parents as well to make sure that they're aware of what it is that our children are being exposed to. And then if we need to take an approach to where we are not comfortable and take it up to the next level, then we can discuss that with the Department of Education.
Thank you. Amy.
Ultimately, these difficult decisions are tough, and not ones that anybody really wants to make. You do need to rely on the state statutes and what, those bylaws and whatnot. But I think you really need to involve the parents and the community. Just because someone doesn't have a child in school doesn't mean they don't have a valid opinion on this. And I think it's important to involve everyone. Not just your PTA, not just, people need to get involved, parents need to get involved. Everybody's busy, and I understand that, but these are our kids. And if there's something that's being taught, or something that you don't agree with, or something, that you don't feel is appropriate for a certain age level, you need to get involved. That's important. If it's not important now, it will be in the future, because what they learn now, they're going to take with them to grocery cart or wherever they're working, and you're ultimately going to need to deal with that young person. So it's in everybody's best interest to get involved and be heard, and the biggest thing is get involved.
Thank you. Shelley?
A lot of good things were talked about and discussed, and keeping parents aware of what is being taught is really important. Colby, you hit the nail on the head there. If the parents have concerns, they need to be communicating it with the teachers. And if they don't feel like they're getting their concerns heard, then they go to the superintendent and then maybe to the school board. And so there's a couple of different avenues that way. Your question was, who gets to make those challenging decisions based upon what controversial topics will be taught? And so there is a curriculum that is picked. The school board hires the superintendent, who oversees the staff and approves the curriculum. And I believe the school board also approves the curriculum. So in a circle way, the school board gets to have some say, but the parents ultimately are the ones that get to have the most voice. And if we do get into a situation where there is some disagreement about what is being taught, I think as a school board, it needs to be discussed, and it needs to be handled and negotiated. And maybe there's a way to, through those negotiations, of the parents opting kids in and out of if it's something that's very touchy, that they feel very passionate about for whatever reason. We just need to have the conversation. But I believe there's a really good process and method in place by communicating through the teacher and the superintendent, and also the school board, and the elections that we're having and working on right now.
Thank you. Okay, so we have had 6 questions. I'm trying to remember my memo. Did we have 7, or are we done? We are done. Okay. So now we are going to go to, I gotta change my timer to 45 seconds. 1 second, you know, I'm so tech savvy. And I'm gonna shake it up, and you don't know who's gonna go first, okay? But Jeremy, you're gonna pick number 1, 2, 3, 4. They go first for the closing remark. Just say number. Just give me a number, quick. 3. That would be Colby, please. Colby is going to go first for the closing. Thank you.
All right, I would just like to say I really appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you all tonight and to speak to these matters. And I would really appreciate the opportunity to serve our school and our community and help drive these programs forward. So I really appreciate your consideration, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Amy, we'll go ahead and start with you. Yep.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if you were really going to mix it up, Donna. I could see you doing that.
Go ahead and start.
I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, and everybody listening, and for the newspaper and the radio stations for providing this opportunity for people to hear from each one of the candidates. I think that's very important, and it's getting down to the wire. I would love an opportunity to serve on the Broken Bow School Board. Like I said, this community has done a lot to make me who I am, and I would love an opportunity to mentor and bring our school system into this next phase. And I appreciate you being here and your vote.
Thank you. I'm going to mix it up. JD, you get to go next, because I like to mix things up. Okay, you may start.
All right. I just want to thank everybody again tonight for giving us the opportunity to sit up here and answer a few questions and, you know, face the public. I encourage everybody to get out there and vote. If you want to be a solution and want to get involved, voting is a huge way in our country to get involved and speak your voice. Get to know each and every one of us. I know it's challenging with a handful of questions, but I'd like the opportunity to serve the school system, our community, and make sure that I'm one that's speaking for not just the students, but our faculty, our administration, and all of our community and beyond.
Thank you. And now Shelley, please.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to get to have this forum. Thanks for everybody for showing up too. I think that that's an important part, to be able to have the discussion and get to know one another. I'd appreciate the opportunity to get to serve. I think I have the skills to be an effective and cooperative board member. I was asked to run to make sure that there's an agricultural, representative, another ag voice on the board, and would be happy to be that. And then also to encourage everybody to go vote. I think it'll be a big time to vote. You got to hear a little bit from the four of us, and would be happy to answer any more questions if anybody had some later.
Thank you. Well, first and foremost, thank you for attending live, and also thank you for those that are watching. KCNI, KBBN, sandhillsexpress.com, and KBear 92.3 on Facebook and YouTube. And there will be a written recap in the Custer County Chief. Thank you to you three for asking the questions. Thank you to you four for volunteering your time. I don't know about anybody here, but it takes a lot to step up and say, yes, I will run, and yes, I will serve. We need more people to say that. And basically, thanks, guys. Have a good night, and vote, vote, vote.